Do you like Eberron? How about dinosaurs? And how about we take that a step further and go with Jurassic Park? Well, if you do, then look no further than the very on-the-nose Dino World by my good friend Celeste Conowitch out on the DMs Guild right now. I've gotten a chance to play through this entire adventure having run it, and I've read through the whole thing. So if you want to see my review on this DMs Guild review video, stay tuned. Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sadler, welcome to Dino World. What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. I'm sorry, Richard Attenborough, for that horrible impersonation. Anyway, let's jump over to the DMs Guild. So here you can see Celeste is a DMs Guild adept, so it's going to appear in like that DMs Guild adept section. It is $3.95 to go ahead and pick this up. I will be upfront with you. Celeste sent it to me as a review copy. It is currently a best silver seller. It only came out on the 27th, so that's good. It's a really good progression as far as things go for her first official solo release as the solo author. You can see right here, there's a map. It's very similar to the map of Jurassic Park, if you're familiar with what it looks like. I'm talking Jurassic Park, not Isla Sorna, Isla Nublar, the main island from the first movie, and I guess later the Jurassic World series. So anyway, it is Adventurers League legal. It is set for the Eberron Adventurers League, which, if you're unfamiliar, is its own thing, but it does require you to pick up this book on the DMs Guild called Eberron Oracle of War, Salvage Bases and Missions. This is sort of the Eberron base book to play it as Adventurers League. There's no reason you can't play it outside of that, which is what I did. But this book gives you, you can see here a whole bunch of different modules in the Eberron world. And it's interesting. It's very cool because it uses this concept of salvage and like making bases and upgrading. It's very interesting. You really should check that out if you haven't. But we're here to talk about Dino World. So it's a tier 2 adventure, which means it's designed for characters level 5 to 10, and it can be completed in 3 to 4 hours. My group was a little bit smaller, so combat did not take as long. They were also a little bit more on the tactical side, so they managed to pretty much get through this right at the 3-hour mark. But basically, we're going to jump over to it here. I'm not going to go through the entirety of it, but I'll give you some samples. Again, it is very much on the nose. It is Jurassic Park, right? You see it's Dino World. It's got the same basic logo. Here's the front entrance that everyone's familiar with. Celeste, I'm going to be honest with you. My biggest nitpick, as with any of mine, is if you don't have chapter or bookmarks, what are you doing? Like, look, here's Oracle of War. See this? I can skip ahead to the different chapters I want. Some of them will even have sub-chapters, so I can skip to different things. This is a smaller document. It's only 19 pages. But if you're going to professionally release things on the DMs Guild, this goes for anybody. Put bookmarks in. If I want to skip ahead, so I have a table of contents here. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't have a table of contents. So, second nitpick, no table of contents. It's a shorter module, so it's overlookable, but right? Chapter 1, right? It's, I think, 4 chapters. The whole adventure is 3 parts, basically like 4 chapters. But if I wanted to skip ahead to chapter 2, I have to scroll or click page ahead like this. And, I realize that's the tiniest of nitpicks, but we're living in a world where people are buying books in PDF. That's like a standard thing. So I'm going to keep saying that every time I review a DMs Guild product. If it doesn't have it, get it. If you have a full version of PDF on your computer, Adobe Acrobat or some other PDF creator, you can go in and make your own and add your own bookmarks. I don't think I can do it here because, I don't have it on this computer. And let's see, we'll just check. And I think it's typically protected. Yeah, I can't do it. So either way, and it probably is a protected document. So it's Jurassic Park, right, themed. So I'll give you the general overview and then let you know how I went when we played it. So essentially it's broken down into 3 major parts. The first part is sort of the background, setting up the mission. You are going to go to, again, I didn't run it in Eberron. I ran it in my homebrew world, so I tweaked some things a little bit, but for the most part, the story ran as it happened. So it's set, again, designed for Eberron. So you're going to go to an area called Salvation, a town called Salvation, where you're going to look for Deputy Billy Muldoon. And he wants you to travel into the Mournland, which is like a barren, scary wasteland area in Eberron. I'm not going to dive too much into it because I don't really know that much about the Mournlands, I'll be honest. I know parts of Eberron, that one I'm not too familiar with. But anyway, he wants you to bring back a soldier from this outfit called the Fighting Fifth for questioning. And his offer to you is going to be keep kind of whatever you find there and then also salvage, right? I told you salvage is a main function of the Eberron Adventures League thing. Or if you're not using salvage, like I'm not in my homebrew game, the offer was 1,000 gold pieces. Sorry. So you go into the Mournlands, you bring back this woman named Raylene, and you bring her back. Okay, she's supposedly in this area, this old defunct town called Seaside, where there was an old amusement park called Dino World. So in Eberron, dinosaurs are pretty prevalent, as are Warforged, and that's kind of really all you need to know. And then essentially you're going, like, the overland travel is kind of negligent. It's not super important. You can run Mournland encounters from the Oracle, again, from this Oracle of War book. If you want to have random encounters, you can look for the random encounter tables in here and do that. I didn't because the main section of the game takes place in Dino World. So basically you get there to Dino World. And once you arrive, there's a random encounter table, and they're really, really fun. I'll probably give you one of my random encounters that I think is really awesome, or maybe two. And then essentially, you will need, in theory, to have this book because there's a dinosaur mutation table, and some of the dinosaurs in Dino World may be mutated in that they have other things about them, like they have acid blood or two heads or something like that. And that'll add a little more interest to your game. You don't necessarily have to do it. They can just be the dinosaurs as they stand. So basically, you're trying to find Raylene. That's your whole mission. You get to Dino World, and then again, like I showed you in that map, it's basically Jurassic Park, right? Number 2 here, this is the visitor center. So you go to the visitor center, and you may encounter dinosaurs on the way. And then when you get inside, you'll eventually meet Raylene, and then she'll give you kind of the main mission of the park is I'll come with you for questioning, but you need to help me find this person, this artificer named Nedry. Again, on the nose. And he's locked himself in the maintenance shed or the maintenance hut. And the only way to access the maintenance hut is with a key card, one of like the park employee key card. And then that's the kind of the majority of it. You basically are given the option. You have the map. You'll be able to find a pamphlet with the map, and you have a couple of different locations, and you need to decide where you want to go to try to find this key card. And if we go back to this, I think I have the map in here. We can scroll to the end. It'll be sideways, but you can see it here, or maybe there's one up front. I think there's one in here, right here. Yeah. So you're at the visitor center. You have the option of all these other numbers on the maps. 8 is the maintenance hut. Where do you want to go look for him? So your basic options here are the Skylift, the Jungle Zone, Raptor Run, or the Oasis Pools. And basically you pick. So my party went to a couple locations, decided it wasn't for them, and then we're like, we're going to try somewhere else. And basically what you're trying to do is find a corpse of an employee that has a key card that you can use to access the maintenance hut. And then once you do that, you'll kind of have your final showdown with Nedry. So I will kind of give you what happened with my party. They went to the Oasis Pools. It wasn't for them. And then they went to Raptor Run, which is fun because it's a theme park. So it was basically a roller coaster. And they went on the roller coaster, and then stuff happened. They fought some dinosaurs, and they eventually get the key card that lets them access the maintenance hut to have a very cool, very awesome final showdown with Nedry and a T-Rex, which is super cool. And it's a T-Rex that's been augmented, so it has all sorts of cool things like lasers and like kaiju laser breath weapons. No, it's awesome. It's a very cool fight. It was tough. My party almost died. But they managed to beat it, and they were singing the praises of it. So obviously, as you traverse around, there may be random encounters that you run through. And one that I thought was really interesting was basically they just hear like a whistling and something falls from the sky and impacts the ground. And it's just basically mangled limbs, metal limbs and cloth. And it was basically a Warforged park worker that was dropped by some aerial dinosaur. And what's cool is it has a Dino World Fast Pass on it, like you would have at like a theme park to move through the lines quickly. And it functions like a potion of speed within the confines of the park, which if you don't know, potion of speed gives you haste. And it's because it's a fast pass, and that was just perfect for me. There's a lot of other like dinosaur kind of puns and things throughout here and the names of the different encounters. And yeah, it actually will have here in, it gives you everything you need. See dynamite, right? And then it'll give you basically all of the stat blocks that you need are contained in the end of the adventure. So you can see like Pteranodon, there's a rock, Deinonychus, Plesiosaur, Quetzalcoatlus, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, T-Rex. And then the best one is the Warforged Soldier, which is basically this, who is called Dino the Dino. And he's basically a Warforged who doesn't recognize that the park is defunct and walks around in his dinosaur mascot still like doing things. And plus this art is just phenomenal. And he hands out gummy candies shaped like dinosaurs that functions like potions of healing. And that's just awesome. And that's pretty much it, folks. I mean, it's a 19-page adventure. We had a blast. Like I said, it took us 3 hours. And it definitely has the opportunity for a lot of laughs. Everybody that I happened to play with was big Jurassic Park fans. Some people even recently watched Jurassic Park, not knowing we were going to be playing this. It was kind of just a random thing we did. So we were making a ton of different Jurassic Park jokes throughout, and I was making jokes. Like I made Nedry a little bit more like, you didn't say the magic word. Like I added things in that weren't in the book to make it more Jurassic Park. Because I mean, obviously you can tell what it is, so everybody can have a little bit of fun with how much you make it. And you could obviously tweak and alter it a little bit, but we had an absolute blast playing through it. It was really fun. So I would recommend checking this out. Like I said, the only detriment to me is if you're not playing in the Adventurers League Eberron and you don't have Oracle of War, like you may miss out on some things. But you could, again, just play this as it stands right now. And it's only $3.95 for a good 3 to 4 hour adventure. Again, my group was a little bit smaller, so we could get through combat faster. So if you had more people, this might take a little bit longer. The only real other nitpick I have is there's no Ian Malcolm character of any kind in this adventure. And I mean, it would have been interesting, you know, this park has been defunct for a while, so you're probably not going to find anybody alive there. But, you know, to have like the Ian Malcolm shirt open, like lounging, even if it was like a reference of like a corpse that was in that position, that would be kind of fun. But that was actually, that was the only the only downside was there was no Ian Malcolm character inside. So anyway, Celeste is a good friend of mine, so I wanted to review this while it's still fresh in my mind. I'll put a link in the description, an affiliate link, so if you go and pick up Dino World from the link in the description, one, you'll be supporting Celeste, but you'll also be supporting me at the same time. And I'll be sure to go write a review. And if you haven't, please go ahead and you haven't, write a review on it, because it's always sad when we see these things get to like gold or platinum bestseller and stuff, and they have like 2 reviews or no reviews. Which, you know, the players, you know, the creators really want to know your feedback, whether it's positive or negative, because not everybody's out here making videos on it. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support me and the channel. I will see you all next time.